Blog Talk Radio.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
The calling hours.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding? Kill all myself.
To another episode of The Calling Hours on Horror Society Radio. This is your host, the Dedman, Michael Jones. Welcome to another great episode of The Calling Hours. This evening's special guests, our main interview, so to speak, we are going to have Tyler Main and Renae Geerlings on, both from Main Entertainment. Of course, you should know Michael and Renae's names, not only for their film Compound Fracture and their upcoming film Penance Lane, which does have an Indiegogo, which you need to all go check out and contribute to. But I think we all know Tyler from a couple of other roles. Of course, he was Sabretooth in X-Men. And let us not forget that he plays Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2, and that his wife, Miss Geerlings, shows up in Halloween 2 as well. So that is going to be our main interview this evening. That'll take place at about 8:30 this evening. At 8:15 this evening, in our Independent Spotlight, we are going to have Elsie Macabre on. She is going to be talking to us about the 5th Annual Macabre Fair Film Festival, which is taking place at the Rockville Center in New York, January 17th through the 19th of 2014. Since I have not announced it on Horror Society or anywhere else yet, the Dedman is a judge for the event, and I will be up there for the event. So I am looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to everything Elsie can tell us about the festival. And I don't want to give away the names of any of the films since Elsie's the one in charge. If any film titles are going to be said, I would rather it come from her. So tonight we're also going to be reviewing Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of The Horror Show. I just watched that the other day, and boy, what a wave of nostalgia. For those of you that don't remember the film under that title, it went by House 3 here in the States, so we'll get to talk about some Lance Hendrickson and things like that here in a little bit. In our Metal Blade Spotlight for the evening, we have a band called Pentagram Chile, and I have some nice selections from them to hear. And, of course, at the end of the show, we will have our Mystery Spotlight on next week's radio guest. But to start the evening off, I think we'll talk about some news. And our first news item is about a film that I grew up loving. It was definitely one of my favorites. And it looks like it's going to be a movie that is going to be remade. I had tried to get in contact with the people that were in charge of the remake, but sadly no one answered my requests for an interview. So we'll just go with this. This news item comes off of Arrow in the Head, and the writer was Eric Wolkowski. I hope I pronounced that right. And the title is Chopping Mall Being Released into Theaters. And to quote the article, this is rather unexpected news to say the least. Jim Wynorski's 1986 schlock classic shopping mall, a.k.a. Killbots, is being re-released in the theaters with a brand new digitally remastered print. According to a press release, Jim Wynorski and producer Bill Deaver decided that with the transition to digital delivery now employed by 90% of movie theaters, it was time to reintroduce Chopping Mall to North American theaters. Quote, I was always amazed that every recent showing of Chopping Mall always turned into an event, says Wynorski. People really love the movie, and for me, the guy who directed the film, that's just great. With the kind support of Roger and Julie Corman, Wynorski and Deaver obtained the original film elements and, under the careful eye of Wynorski, brought the film back to its original glory. Quote, this is a dream come true. To play a small part in the restoration of a piece of classic American cinema is just amazing, tells Bill Deaver. Not only is Chopping Mall pure movie fun, it's also, in many ways, an important film. The film is currently sorting out exactly which theaters it will arrive in. Let's hope there's a demand for Chopping Mall sweeping the country, so we'll keep you posted. I mean, I think this is absolutely fabulous news. Again, like I said, this was definitely one of my more favorite movies as a child growing up. I like the idea, in the 80s, thinking about robots being mall security and things like that and the things that could potentially go wrong with it. It was definitely an 80s blood-filled romp. And I think most audiences today would enjoy it. The teenage crowd. It takes place in a mall. What would there not be to like about this film? That's pretty much what I would question on that. So, when more information becomes available on that, we will certainly let everybody know. Now, our next news item, and I'm sure this could go 50-50 with my audience. You either love them or hate them. But the next news bit pertains to this man.
Rock. Shane McMahon turned down a challenge from his father, Vince McMahon, for a match here tonight in Houston. So obviously,
Michael Cole, shut your mouth. The Rock says this. You think The Rock actually cares about this ongoing soap opera with the McMahon family? First, you have Shane, turns on Vince. Shane turns on Linda. Stephanie turns on Vince. Stephanie slaps Linda. Stephanie's dog takes a crap in Shane's living room carpet. Oh, and here's a twist. Shane can't get an erection for 8 months. Well, The Rock says this. The Rock could care less about this ongoing family saga. The Rock says he wipes a monkey's ass with the McMahon family saga.
Wow. He is irate. What does he say about Shane and Viagra?
And The Rock...
Uh-oh. What a chance. The people's champion. He may be
Big Show, Triple H, Shane McMahon. You think just because you chokeslam The Rock right in the middle of the people's ring that the show is over, that there's nothing left? Well, The Rock says this, is that because he's a people's champion, tonight The Rock is not done.
Uh-oh. Not done tonight. I didn't think so, King.
Now tonight, The Rock says, whether it be Triple H, whether it be Big Show, whether it be Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, any way you want it, any way you want to bring it to the great one, The Rock says tonight in H-Town, you'll have no choice, no option, but to smell what The Rock is cooking.
The Rock has laid down the challenge. Who's going to step up?
That's right. A gift from Satan. The Rock is attached to SEAL Team 666. And this report came off of The Hollywood Reporter. Dwayne Johnson will also executive produce the feature along with Danny Garcia, as well as Brendan Deenan and Peter Joseph of Macmillan Films. Based on the book by Weston Osh, this project follows an elite group of Navy SEALs who battle demons and assorted threats and discover that there's a greater supernatural force bent on destroying the world. Evan Spilatopoulos, who penned MGM's upcoming Johnson-starred action adventure movie Hercules, wrote the screenplay for this adaptation. Hiram Garcia, a former assistant to Johnson, will produce SEAL Team 666, which is in development and has no director at this stage. Johnson recently wrapped Hercules, directed by Brett Ratner, and the movie is set for a July 25th, 2014 release. The actor, repped by WME and Gang Tire, is now shooting Fast and Furious 7. As a huge fan of The Rock and being a huge wrestling fan, it should come as no surprise to anyone that I'm excited about this. The Rock in a true blood horror movie is what I have been waiting for. Just can't wait till he tells a demon or Satan, he asks him what his name is, and he tells him it doesn't matter what his name is. But it looks like we may have LC with us, so let us check. Thank you for calling Horror Society Radio. This is the Dedman speaking.
Hello, Dedman.
Is this Elsie?
It is.
And how are you, my dear?
I am freezing my Puerto Rican buns off here in New York City, but I'm doing wonderfully today.
Well, I got to tell you, it's not too much better down here in North Carolina, so I think we're both suffering from the same weather.
Really? They say this is the coldest day of the year, so I don't know. It feels like it goes, holy crap. So if you hear any horns blowing or whatever, it's New York City for you. And if you hear somebody asking me for $1, then you really know that I'm in New York City.
I grew up in upstate New York, so trust me, I know how it is up there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I kind of prepped the audience a little bit. I let them know about the festival. Like I said, it's the 5th annual Macabre Fair Film Festival, January 17th through 19th of 2014 at the Rockville Center in New York. I also let them know that you have invited me to be one of the judges and that I will be going up there for the event.
Yay! I was really excited.
I'm excited too. Now, I didn't want to give away any movie titles of anyone that's done anything like that. So what we're going to do is please tell everyone how the film festival came to be and what we can look forward to the January 17th through 19th event.
Well, we started the film festival back in June 2012, and already we're up to our 5th one because of demand. So, folks didn't want to wait. Maybe it's a New York City thing, I don't know, but folks just did not want to wait for one a year. So we decided, okay, then here we go, because I've got nothing better to do with myself, right? I'm going to work for you all, and that's what we've done. I'm a screenplay writer from L.A., and then I moved out to New York, and I took like a good 10-year sabbatical. And then I really did wake up one morning, and as I was cleaning up the house, I just got this itch, and I just had to get back into writing and films or something. So my husband came home, and I told him, guess what? I'm going to write a play, and you're going to be the star of it. Now, this guy never worked, acted as was an actor on a stage ever in his life. And he said, you got to be kidding me, honey. I can't even act. But I said, don't worry about it. Just follow my lead. We'll be fine. And sure enough, I wrote The Living Dead Mafia. We performed that around, Long Island and the city for a couple of years. And then folks didn't want to wait until the fall season for my stuff. So I said, all right, so you know what? It's time. Let's get into this film festival business that I keep hearing about. And I started meeting a lot of filmmakers. And when you came to see, I was getting a nice amount of submissions, and they were great. And one thing led to the other, and we just kept going with it. And so thank goodness now we're like a little mobile film festival, because we do the film festival not only in New York, but we also do it in Pennsylvania. And here we are with the 5th one. And as a matter of fact, today, including yourself, I got a nice laundry list of filmmakers who are getting their airline tickets to come on out, because the rumor is spreading that the Macabre Fair is all about the filmmakers. Our mission is the filmmakers are the celebrities. And we've been fortunate enough to have scouts that have been coming to our event, and films have been getting distribution. So we're going to keep moving forward because we're on to something hot.
Most excellent. Now, give people an idea, past movies that have been in previous film festivals that people would know.
Oh, gosh. First of all, a lot of our films are independent, so a lot of them seem to travel underground, but one of the movies right now that's really making some noise is Cannibal Diner out from Germany, from Frank Montage that we met last year. So that's one. There's Caesar and Otto's Deadly Christmas by Dave Campfield that's also making a move. Let's see. There's a laundry list of shorts. I know for right now there's one feature film that is also making a serious buzz called Truth or Dare by director Jessica Cameron, and we're really excited about showing that.
With Jessica.
There you go. So honestly, Dedman, there's so many. I would be sitting here for a while with you because we're talking 5 festivals, and each festival has shown no less than about 40 titles. So it's a lot.
So now, when people think about film festivals, a lot like down here in North Carolina, we have something called the Nevermore Film Festival, which I've been a part of. And
I've heard of that one.
It's a good one. If you ever come down to North Carolina, I highly recommend people checking that one out.
Very cool.
But now with that one, it is strictly 99%. It is a film festival. They usually have one vendor out there who sells, movies, DVDs, memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
With this film festival, kind of give us an idea of what's going on all 3 days. Is it just films? Are there going to be vendors there? What are we looking at in terms of things other than just movie watching?
Well, for starters, at least from the little research that I've done and from what I've heard, one of the things that we do is we have a few rooms running at the same time. So it's not just one screen going. We usually have anywhere from 3 to 4 screens. One room can hold, a certain amount up to like the smallest room. And for this go-around, this one is different from the others because on Friday we're going to actually start off with a red carpet event. And it's definitely a humble red carpet. We don't have the big, the big Batman lights out in the front and that sort of thing. But we do have the red carpet and that sort of thing. Everyone's coming dressed to the T. And we're going to be awarding the Macabre Award. And what that's going to be is from all the previous film festivals, all those that were nominated for Best Feature and Best Short, all those guys are going to go head-to-head, kind of like the Academy Awards does. So, it's time that a lot more of these subgenre titles get treated with some respect and get recognized. And so we don't want to just show your film the one time around and say, thank you very much, we'll see you in, some other time. We keep going with these films. We make sure the limelight is on them at all times. So this red carpet is going to allow them to show their films again, and they're going to get that prestigious award, which is, really awesome because it's really letting these filmmakers know that your stuff was the best of, like, the hundreds of titles that we've had. Now, on Saturday and Sunday, we will be screening films, like I said, 3 or 4 different rooms at a time. And then at about 9 p.m. or so on Saturday, once we're done, we actually have live bands that come on. And this Saturday, we're going to have the Slippery Chickens, so we're going to have some rockabilly going on. And then we're going to have Halo, a Halo called Fred, which is a really cool, like, funkadelic group. Then we're going to have some DJ music. In the interim of all of that, we will have some vendors. We usually have, usually about 10 vendors at a time. We have a really intimately sized venue. But, before we even get to all that music, even when all the movies are playing, we will have a room where we will have Q&As and we will have a workshop. In fact, we have one in particular segment that's called How to Die Like a Pro that's going to be presented by Heather Drew, where people literally can choose to go up and get taught how to die professionally like if they were in the film, and then the top ones who died well in that class get to go onto the stage and show the audience how well they die and win a prize. So we like to keep it interactive. We like to keep people busy. There's never a dull moment. And one of the biggest parts of our festival that I keep hearing from everybody is that everybody feels like family. And that's really important. No one's got attitudes because, honestly, you got to leave those in the mailbox outside. We're not interested. We're all coming from the same place, and we're all here for the same reason, for people to see our work. And that's our mission, and we're sticking to it. So it's a big party time with a main focus on ensuring that people are seeing all these films.
Nice. Now, real quick, do you want to give everyone the web address, anything that would be pertinent to get the information out to the people?
Absolutely. They can go to Macabre Fair Film Fest, and fair is with an E at the end, .com, and that would bring them to the website that we also share with our umbrella company, which is twitchproductions.com. So it'll all, filter into the same place. But you can also, we just started a nice little Facebook page with the same name, Macabre Fair Film Festival. and there they can find already the movie posters and the trailers of the official selections. And they can also get their tickets and all that good stuff.
Well, I look forward to coming out there. I appreciate being a judge. Maybe we can work something out since I do special effects. Maybe I can do a makeup demo for you guys while I'm out there. I think that would be fun.
Oh, man, you're really just, like, making it that much better. Awesome.
Well,
I like it.
Thank you for coming on. Oh, I do, too. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for promoting the event. Once again, you can definitely check out all of the info on Twitch Productions page, which is www.livingdeadmafia.com. You can certainly find them on Facebook. And you can definitely keep an eye out on Horror Society, because as we get closer to the event, of course, I will be posting about it. And if we get lucky, I can get Mike D., one of my other writers over there at Horror Society, to join me since he lives in Jersey. So,
dude, now you know I'm going to hold you to that.
Hey, that's up to him now. You know, he's kind of a strange guy, but I'll try to get him out there with me.
Hey, and one more thing before I go.
Yeah.
But before you let me go, you do know why I'm out here in New York City, right?
You're promoting a film this evening. Tell everyone about that.
That's right. We're premiering our first feature film called The Gilgo Beach Murders. So it's really awesome because for those who live in New York and Long Island, they know that we had a case of a serial killer killing some prostitutes and dropping them over in the Gilgo Beach. And we never found the killer and whatnot. And Joe DiPietro, who's the director and writer, decided he wanted to put a movie together, and so we did, and here we are premiering it right now.
Well, I hope it goes well. Go back in, talk to your audience, and, of course, pimp the film festival, because that's what we're going to be doing.
Awesome.
Elsie, thank you for coming on. We will definitely have you on again as we get closer. We'll definitely have you again on after the festival so that we can talk about it some more.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, guys.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
And once again, that was Elsie Macabre from the Macabre Fair Film Festival that's going to be taking place January 17th through the 19th of 2014 at the Rockville Center in New York. Worst comes to worst, the Dedman from Horror Society will be there. The question is, does Mike D. have the tenacity to join me? Well, here in about 10 minutes, we are going to have our interview with Tyler Main and Renae Geerlings of Main Entertainment. But before that, we are going to go to our Metal Blade Spotlight, and the name of the band is Pentagram Chile. The name of the album is The Malefice, and the song is The Apparition.
From beyond, another
was Pentagram Chile off of the album Malefice. The song title was The Apparition. We will be hearing a little bit more from our Metal Blade Spotlight band later on this evening. But right before we get into our interview, I'm going to play a little intro song to warm up Tyler and Renae. Here is our DVD giveaway for the evening. If someone can tell me what song I am playing and what is unique about it by hitting me up on the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Facebook, will win a Blu-ray copy of Chilling Visions from Scream Factory, and there will also be a standard edition DVD of George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. So here is your intro theme, and then our interview with Tyler and Renae. Once again, welcome to the Calling Hours on Horror Society Radio. This is your host, the Dedman, Michael Jones, and tonight we have a special set of guests. These are two people that I had the honor to meet at the end of March in Greensboro, North Carolina, for the Compound Fracture U.S. Tour. I am talking about Tyler Main and Renae Geerlings. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good. It is so good to talk to you guys again, especially after everything that's gone on over the last couple of months. And we're certainly going to get into Compound Fracture. We'll get into, Tyler, we'll get into some of your other films and some of your other work. The same with you, Renae. But first of all, kind of give fans an idea of how crazy it's been since you've started the Compound Fracture Tour.
Do you want to handle this one, Hunter, or should I?
Well, I suppose I can start it off because I'm definitely going to throw Tyler under the bus because it was Tyler's idea that, you know, he's been fortunate enough to do the horror convention circuit, and it's such a good time that he thought it was a really fun idea to take this movie Grindhouse style tour out around Canada and the United States. And it's been an amazing time, but I will say traveling the country, if I have to be at one more Waffle House or Cracker Barrel, that's all Tyler's fault. But the tour was great. We met so many people, going from time zone to time zone. You know, you kind of feel like a rock band of two.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, now, with getting into that now, in 2010, you guys started Main Entertainment. You know, what led you guys to opening your own production company and how would you say it helped you with the development and the tour?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to start up my own production company, and the timing was right. And when we sat down a few years ago in Rob Zombie's backyard with Leslie Easterbrook and Sid Haig, you know, they both said, "Hey, go for it," you know. And we ended up doing that and writing Compound Fracture and producing it and putting it out. And now we have just signed the distribution deal for North America with Level 33. So it is going to be distributed early next year, hopefully. And, you know, it was something, the tour was something that I wanted to do to take it out to the fans, to give fans the experience, and to, you know, introduce them to main entertainment. And it was very well received. And we just came off the road with a Detroit show and 2 Chicago screenings. And we're planning on doing a few more before the tour is over with.
And from my perspective, I'm coming from 15 years of comic books. I worked for Top Cow, I worked for Radical Publishing, I'm with IDW's imprint Darby Pop right now. And so I had originally come to Los Angeles with an acting degree and didn't know anyone and decided to take some temp jobs, and through that landed at Top Cow, and 10 years later there I still was. But going through that, and one of the realizations that I've had recently is that it's not for me just about being an actor or just writing or just doing comic books. I want to tell stories, and what better way to do that, and what better way to have control over that than to have a production company that's overseeing every aspect of the story that you're telling. And with Tyler being as tall as he is, sometimes in this town, you know, you talk about sort of pigeonholing, but I've seen what Tyler can do, and I think Compound Fracture was a real testament to what he's able to do. But in a town where you're surrounded by people who tend to be smaller than average, it's hard when you have such a large stature to be given a role that is, you know, sort of a leading role. And so we created Compound Fracture, we created our production company, and then we cast very tall people around Tyler.
Well, I mean, I remember that, you know. I'm 6'2", and I don't consider myself to be a small guy. But I remember standing in that restaurant with Tyler, and I was like, damn, this is a big dude, you know. You know, even the person that came with, when Billy came with me, you know, and we still look at that picture of the two of you together, and she's in like 3-inch heels, and she's still a foot shorter than you, so. But now, when you talk about things like that, and we had talked about this at the Greensboro tour, Tyler, but for the fans, when you talk about your size, your height, you know, you standing next to Derek Mears in the film, you know, you fit the look of brothers, but how much difficult is that for setting up shots and location and things like that when you have to take into account your height?
Yeah, I mean, it's just setting up the shot is easy to do. You just have to adjust, you know, the spacing and everything like that. But for locations, you know, you don't want to shoot in a regular house with a lower ceiling. So for Compound Fracture, we found the house that had like 10-foot ceilings throughout the whole house, which was really good. But yeah, I mean, just things like that. But I mean, when I did How to Make a Monster, I mean, the guy that I was starring with was 5'2", so you can shoot it.
There's the difficulty.
You know. It can be done, you know.
Right. Now, this is not the first film that the two of you worked on together. You had mentioned, of course, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and, you know, if anyone doesn't know it, I'll just go ahead and state the obvious. Tyler, you played Michael, and Renae, you played the role of Deputy Gwen.
I did.
Now, in a film like Compound Fracture, you know, you guys wrote it, you acted in it, you produced it together. Especially now after having been on the road for as long as you have and promoting it, do you find it easier to work with one another, or is it more stressing than just playing a singular role than, okay, I'm Renae Geerlings, I'm the producer, hi, I'm Tyler Main, I'm the actor? You know, how much has that changed the dynamic of filmmaking and your personal life?
I think personally has gotten better. You know, in the beginning it's kind of rough until you figure out how to approach everything, but we make a great team, you know, and I really enjoy working with Renae, and I love waking up and you know, we hit the ground running and figuring out what we're going to do with Compound Fracture and what we're doing with Penance Lane, and we've got a Indiegogo campaign running right now with Penance Lane that everybody should take a look at and check out. But, you know, you just figure out how to juggle all the different balls.
And honestly, Tyler said after we did Compound Fracture, the next film he worked on when he was just acting, you spend a lot of time sort of sitting, waiting for people to set things up. They, you know, they don't necessarily want your opinion on everything, which is hard for us. And, you know, he said it was tough. I felt like I was sort of waiting around. I was used to having so much more to do. And I think we both thrive in that environment. And so producing our own films makes a lot of sense for us because we really like spinning plates. And
we know what each other's, you know, strengths are. And you know, Renae has a great
what are my strengths, baby?
Well, she has a great, you know, for the storytelling, and I'm more the business side. So we combine and we make a great team in that way.
Yeah, and Tyler's very visual, so he's got a really good sense of lighting and how he wants things to look and the look of the ultimate film, whereas I'm more of a verbal. And so kind of on every level, and I'm more organization and he's more finance, so, you know, but he would kind of be receipts everywhere if it wasn't for me. So sort of on every level, we balance each other out. And I don't think before we made movies we even understood what a good yin and yang we were. I think Compound Fracture, you know, and don't get me wrong, there were definitely days, the romantic scene day where we had to pretend we loved each other. I was so cranky that I don't remember what was happening, but we were having a fight. I was having a fight anyway. And I was so mad at him, and he kept trying to be sweet and put his hands on my face. I would shake my head, and I would say, "Don't, you're pulling my face." And he was like, "I'm being sweet." So, you know, but it was such a great experience. I think ultimately coming through it's so much like having a child.
Well, yeah, I can see that, definitely. Well, now coming from that aspect of it, you guys pulled the triple threat in this film. Of course, you acted, you wrote it, and you produced it. How much different was it for you guys having to take care of all three of those things on the production? And in the initial beginning, was there ever any consideration for either one of you to direct the film?
Oh,
no.
As far as directing, no. I'd love to direct at some point in time, but for right now, I just wanted to leave it in the. But I mean, we were so familiar with the script because I mean, we'd rewritten the script we did 4 page 1 rewrites, so we knew the script inside and out, and we knew the characters, and so. I mean, there were days when we were producing and we would be driving into work and we'd be like, "What are we shooting today?" You know, because we were dealing with the other things. But then once we were handed the sides, we knew because we were so familiar with it. So that kind of coincided and made it kind of easy to deal with that way.
And having one of us directed on top of all of the other hats that we were wearing, I think you have to be careful. Like, coming from the world of comic books, you can sometimes run into trouble with an artist who, in that world, wants to, you know, write, pencil, ink. They kind of don't see their own weaknesses, and so having a team project can help balance out other people's weaknesses or things that they might have missed or things they didn't think of. And A.J. Rickert Epstein was originally supposed to DP the film, and he was kind of a young gun, and when he came in, we said, you know, the director that we had originally on board was unable to film it, and we turned to AJ and said, "Would you be willing to direct it?" And he jumped at the chance. So, you know, so that piece fell into place, and then it just kind of ran from there.
Now, looking at of course, you brought up AJ, but looking at the rest of your cast as well, I mean, if we just look at who else was involved, I mean, we're talking, you know, you had Muse Watson, of course, who was in I Know What You Did Last Summer. Derek Mears, Jason from Friday the 13th, of course Tyler with Halloween. You also had Leslie Easterbrook from the Police Academy movies. How exactly did you guys go about picking your cast and crew? And when, to an outside genre fan, when you look at it, oh my God, I've got the killer from I Know What You Did Last Summer. You've got Jason. You've got Michael Myers. Was that always your intention to have large names like that, or was it just one of those things where everything fell into place at the right time?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to work with Derek, and believe me, I'm one for stacking the deck. And when we got the triple threat of the three iconic serial killers, I mean, it just made sense, and having all seasoned actors like we did, it was a good thing because it was the director's first shot and that, and everybody
knew. And a fast shoot. And
it was a fast shoot, and everybody knew how to carry their own balls, so to speak, and make everything play out properly. So it was a very it was actually the funnest set that I've ever been on in my entire career, because I was able to work with friends. Like, I've worked with Leslie before. Derek and I are friends. I knew I worked with Daniel, and Todd Farmer's a friend, and it was just like family coming together to make a movie, and everything just clicked and everything fell into place. It was just fantastic.
And I wrote the role of William for Derek. He didn't know it, but I was always hoping that Derek would play that role, and so I actually, in one of the last rounds of the script, I gave it to Derek and said, when we were talking to him about playing the role, I said, I'd like your input on this. Muse, Jelly Howie, and Alex Saxon were the only three cast members that we did not know before shooting. Susan Angelo, who plays Chloe, who is Tyler's sister in the movie, she and I had done a play together in Los Angeles, and so I called her and asked her if she would come down. She fit the height requirement, and she was awesome. So Jelly, we met on an audition. Alex Saxon was actually, we Taft-Hartley'd him for this film, and now he's going gangbusters. He's got a recurring on The Fosters. He's been on there. He's got another film coming out, Chapman. And Muse was such an interesting occurrence because we had been talking to some other actors, and we got the submissions in, and I saw Muse's picture, and before I even knew who he was, I said to Tyler, oh my gosh, that guy looks like he could be your dad. And then we looked at who it was and saw that it was Muse, and that he was in I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it was just kind of kismet. So it all turned out really well.
Now, like we had joked in Greensboro, and I wish I'd got some of this on tape. So here we go. Tyler, you had talked about how you didn't. Well, I was going to talk about, Tyler, you guys had mentioned how good of a friend you are with Derek and with, of course, Todd Farmer. And those of you that don't remember Todd Farmer's name, shame on you, Jason X and My Bloody Valentine and everything else. But, you had mentioned it was almost like a brotherhood when you guys got together. Now, with you, Muse, Derek, and Todd on set, was it almost more like playing for you, Tyler? And Renae, on the other end, was it like watching a group of boys playing the whole time that they were together?
Yeah, it was just, my motto is, if I'm not having fun, I don't want to be there. So, I was going to go through the trenches on my first one with my friends, and Muse fit in real well, and even Alex fit in. We just had fun, and it was like a bunch of kids just playing, and that's what acting is. It's playing. We're pretending to be someone that we're not, and we just all seemed to have a lot of fun, and we did get into some mischief.
And sometimes I can't tell if I'm the Wendy with the Lost Boys or if I'm right in there with them. I'm not sure. But, it was so much fun, and sometimes, we were filming quite a ways out of L.A., and our house was sort of in between L.A. and where we were shooting, so there were some nights where when we had a fast turnaround, that people would just kind of crash on our house, and it was a full house. We'd have couches full and people sleeping in chairs, and they'd kind of get here and stop for a minute and just I'm crashing
have a
out.
drink and, stick around.
And there's that.
Well, yeah, of course there's always that. I mean, you got to have a beer every now and then. But now...
Well, that's the thing, like with that tour, with all the drinking that we did with the gold VIPs and the eating of food afterwards, we both put on about 20 pounds on the tour.
Tyler said to me, I have to drink. We're going out with him afterward. I have to. And I said, I think that word doesn't mean what you think it means.
Yeah, but we got to try a lot of good beer when you were here in North Carolina. I mean, I can't speak to what you drank out everywhere else, but I know we had a blast here in North Carolina. So,
well, you got to do it,
Oh, for sure, for sure. Now, most of the films that have the cast of Compound Fracture did, a larger studio would have jumped all over you guys for distribution in the theaters. Another film that I draw parallels to in terms of the way that you guys have done and marketed Compound Fracture is Matt Farnsworth's The Orphan Killer. This guy's done very similar to you where he's taken it everywhere. He was on our first show, and one of the amazing stats that he told me was his movie, which has been out for a little over a year, has already had over 1 million illegal downloads.
Mm.
Have you guys had a problem with that with Compound Fracture? And, can you kind of give people the story of why you guys didn't go with a large studio to put the film out?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I wanted to keep control of it, and I kept Compound Fracture locked down pretty tight, and...
it was so tight, we actually had trouble with a DVD player one time. It was so well encrypted.
But, but the thing is, we kept it tight, we took it around, and... with the day and age now, people illegally downloading stuff like that. It's something that happens. I think it's people just don't realize how much they're hurting the film industry. It's the same as what was happening with the music industry, because if filmmakers don't make the money back for their investors, we don't get investors, and then we don't make movies. So it's just one of those things.
And I think there's, the thought process behind it from the people who are watching pirated stuff is, well, I didn't pirate it. Yeah, neither did the other 999,000 people that watched it. When you're making a film, it sort of changes your perspective on everything when you look at the blood, sweat, and tears you put in, and how, in terms of entertainment, people feel very entitled to having everything for free in this day and age because we're so used to that. But it really makes it difficult for the people, and a lot of people talk about, the producers, they're like this evil money-grubbing sort of entity. But when you look at how much it costs to do advertising and how much it costs to rent theaters and how much it costs to just spread the word and have a team working with you, people are just very desensitized to it, and they just kind of don't care in this day and age. And that's frustrating, but at the same time, when we took it out ourselves and went face-to-face in all of these markets and met with the people and sat around after the movie and did the Q&A and talked to them and answered their questions, one of the biggest comments that I got after it, I had a mother in North Carolina, actually in Charlotte, pull me aside after the movie, and her daughter had really wanted to come, and on the way there, she was sort of shaking her head at her daughter and said, this is a horror actor. He made a horror movie. This is going to be the worst thing ever. And she pulled me aside after the movie, and she said, I thought I was coming in to see some cheesy, campy B movie, and I loved it. And I just wanted to pull you aside and tell you, I am so sorry. I had no idea what I was coming to see. And so I think that's another reason why we wanted to take it out ourselves, is because there's a certain expectation that people have, and we really exceeded it. I think no one has complained yet about the film to me or online. So
and that's where I was going to go with that.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going to go with that is you guys have done the touring and you've really gotten it out into the hands of the fans. And one of the ways that you guys did that, and I thought it was really nice, in Greensboro, you guys did a bunch of prizes and giveaways. And, I mean, these weren't like, here's a picture with Tyler's autograph. I mean, you guys had a selection of stuff that was absolutely amazing, and I know part of that was tied in with your charity work with Scares That Care. Now, you talked about how the fans had supported the film, but when you set up the whole process of going on tour, what made you guys decide to do just the amazing giveaways that you did? And, you know, Renae, how did Scares That Care tie in with all of that?
Well, I think we wanted to have sort of a give and take anyway, because the other thing is, when we were going on tour, just looking at the financial, you know, breakdown of four-walling a theater, of renting a theater, and of all of your promotions, if you sell out, and we're only doing one show, so if you have, say, a 150-seat theater, 200-seat theater, and you're charging $8-10 a movie ticket for your film, but you're not taking into account the fact that you're also have airlines or gas or hotels and all of that stuff, you're going to be losing money hand over fist. So what we needed to do was make this night an event, a complete event for people with prizes, and, you know, we're there doing Q&As and just an experience that's beyond just going to the movies, so that we could get people out and really get them on board with us. And so bringing in a charity just sort of seems like it's a good way to give back to somebody else and to promote their cause, as you know, and they were promoting our cause, so it was a great cross promotion. It was a great charity. We were able to help raise $10,000 for a young burn victim through that charity, which was kind of cool as well, because Scares That Care works with Kane Hodder. So, you know, it was kind of one more horror connection in that, and through that we were able to do some good work and to help somebody who really needed it. So, you know, I don't think that it was really much of a stretch. It was just kind of obvious.
Now, how did you feel about that, Tyler? I mean, and you know, because you've done so much of, you know, the conventions and things like that, the things that you see from fans. I mean, I was in utter amazement. I mean, like, I felt embarrassed to ask you to sign a poster after watching all of the autographs and the pictures and just everything that went on. Are you still surprised how much the fans clamor for you? And, you know, out of all the stuff, like, I saw you sign Michael Myers masks, posters, photos. I mean, just everything. What's been what has been the most surprising thing you've been asked to autograph at one of these events?
Yeah, you know, I mean, like, I realized, because, I mean, I was a professional wrestler for 11 and a half years and that, and without
we'll
the fans' support, yeah, without the fans' support, I don't have a job, you know. So, and that's why I love to give back to charities. I do a lot of charity work, you know, for the Wounded Warriors, for Scares That Care, for
Scare Foundation,
any organization that I can to help, to give back, because I'm very lucky. I'm just a dumbass Canadian boy that happened to get lucky and be able to have a great career, you know. So, I love getting out there and meeting the fans, because there's so many actors and people nowadays that they put up that wall and they don't meet their fans. But you got to realize, without the fans, you don't have a job. And now going to the next part of the question, what is the craziest thing that I've signed? I mean, you know, people are very fanatical about the Halloween franchise, and I've had guys that you know, have the Halloween tattoo, and they'll come to me and say, "Hey, sign my arm. I'm going to get it tattooed." I go, "You realize that's going to be permanently on your arm?" And you go, "No, I know." And just at the last show we did, I signed that for a guy in 2007 when the first Halloween came out, and he came and showed me that he got it tattooed. You know, so that's pretty crazy. And every once in a while, I get to sign a boob, and
or a house, or a comic book store.
Yeah, you know, there's crazy things.
I thought that was pretty cool, actually, when we visited the Michael Myers house in North Carolina, and and he asked Tyler to sign the house. But it's beautiful. It's so beautifully designed and laid out and everything. And I'm thinking, where is he going to sign this house? The inside is gorgeous. And he sort of looked around and he was like, here. And he opens a door in the kitchen and it's the pantry. And Tyler was like, well, I've been asked to sign panties, but never a pantry. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Now let's talk about merchandising, which goes hand in hand. Of course, you talked about the DVD distribution for next year. With your experience in comics, Renae, have you guys given any consideration to doing a comic book adaptation of the film? And what other? Have you looked at action figures, T-shirts? What are you guys looking at to further promote Compound Fracture?
Well, here's the thing. At this point, and we're looking at more in terms of Penance Lane, but because Compound Fracture is our first film out of the gate, really it's a matter of building a following for the film before you start creating a bunch of merchandise. There has to be a demand for the merchandise. Right. And right now, we're just spreading the word that we make movies, and we make movies that don't suck.
I agree with that.
Penance Lane is actually far more sort of merchandisable. There is a much larger aspect of that film.
Well, I think before we even get into talking about merchandising and all of that, what we're busy doing, and another reason for the tour was to build the brand of Main Entertainment.
Yeah. And
that's what we're in the process of doing right now. So, but hopefully the rest will come down the line. But right now we're just building the brand of Main Entertainment and getting our name out there as being film producers and having quality films for people to view.
Well,
and in answer to your question about comics. Oh, sorry. In answer to your question about comics, yes, we absolutely have talked and are talking about possibilities for that because that's also a no-brainer. But, working in the world of comics, I know that world pretty in and out. So I have some specific ideas about what I would want to do.
Well, and also
go ahead.
And also we have one of Renae's artists has done storyboards for us, and it's part of our campaign for Penance Lane right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, and the comic book thing, that was the first thing after I met you, Renae, and I had done my research on you. And I was like, I can already see a comic book coming out of this. I just could. But you guys had mentioned Penance Lane, so we'll go ahead and hit on Penance Lane for a minute. Now, when I went to the VIP screening thing in Greensboro, one of the prizes that you gave away was a chance to win a walk-on role in Penance Lane and to be killed by you. What can you tell us about Penance Lane that's not spoiler, and what inspired you guys to offer up a role in the film to fans? Of course we know this will be Main Entertainment, but is this something you'll be looking to do in the future as well?
Well, for offering up the role, I wanted to make it interesting. I wanted to give back to the fans, because as a kid growing up, I was a tall, skinny kid with glasses and braces and slightly dyslexic, and I was like, how in the world am I going to get an opportunity and get a chance to be in a movie, to wrestle, to do whatever, And this is kind of another way for me to be able to give back to a fan an opportunity that that I had to fight so hard to get to, and also the same with the Michael Myers Screen 1/1 Halloween jumpsuits that's part of the tour too. I'm very grateful for where I am and what I have in my career, and it's a great way to give back to the fans opportunities. Because growing up in Saskatoon in Canada, it's like, how am I ever going to do this? And to be able to go out and meet these people on the tour and give them an opportunity like that is just fantastic.
But the truth is, Tyler and I weren't the ones who thought of that. It was actually, I don't remember who thought of it. Somebody sort of threw out the idea like, well, if you're looking for prizes, to give nice big prizes for the grand prize, we had already decided on doing the jumpsuit. And the question was, what else can we come up with? And somebody said, what about getting killed by Tyler in your next film? And I thought, yeah, is that really going to be a thing? And then boom, that was the one prize everybody wanted. That was it.
But of course. Who wouldn't want to be killed by Tyler on a film? I mean,
apparently,
I'd be all over that.
Apparently.
You know,
so,
but
yeah,
I mean, it's... Go ahead, please.
Go ahead. No, because we started up an Indiegogo campaign that we're in the process of right now, and we have I think about 30 some more days, right, Renee? Something like that.
Yeah.
And we wanted to raise awareness for the Penance Lane. So I mean, there are a lot of great prizes. So if people go to Indiegogo /projects /Penance-Lane. And take a look at the campaign. We have a teaser trailer up. We teamed up with B.J. McDonald, who was the camera operator on the Halloweens and is also the director of Hatchet 3. So we're assembling a really, really great team for the second go-round, too.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be announcing cast members and stuff on the Indiegogo this week. And like Tyler was saying, Leonardo Manco, who is the artist on Hellblazer, and he's working on John Carpenter's Asylum right now. He did some storyboards for us, and he's going to be doing more art. We have VGP Effects doing our special effects. So it's really coming together for Penance Lane, and we're pretty stoked about it. And the nice thing about the Indiegogo campaign is that what we're trying to do is what we did with Compound Fracture on the tour, where you sort of pull back the curtain and meet people face-to-face and answer their questions and draw them in. We're going to start that with Penance Lane before we start making the movie. So there's going to be a private page that if you have membership, that you're going to be getting all of the videos about the design process and how this movie is coming to fruition, so that by the time you see it, you have an intimate knowledge of it.
Well, and it should go without saying, and you guys know this, with everything with Compound Fracture, I did everything I could to promote that on Horror Society.
Yes, we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, this film will get the same treatment, so the Indiegogo will be going up soon as well. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
Oh, very cool. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate the love.
Anytime. Well, now, before I move on to some of the other work that you guys have done outside of Compound Fracture and everything else, Tyler, I asked you in Greensboro, and I'll ask you again, and Renae was not there to answer this part of the question because she was setting up. But, I've mentioned it before. For those of you that don't know it, Tyler was a pro wrestler, and anyone that knows me knows I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. In your early days in WCW, you were the bodyguard for Woman. You teamed up with Vinny Vegas, who wound up becoming Big Sexy Kevin Nash. You were the only UWF MGM Grand Champion, defeating Stevie Ray to win the vacant title. Do you miss your pro wrestling days, and do you feel like they've helped you in your film career? And Renae, had he not stopped being a professional wrestler, how would you feel about him doing that as a profession?
Well, first of all, okay, I'll jump in here. You asked several questions there in one shot.
I'm trying to remember them. There's a quiz.
But, professional wrestling was a stepping stone to where I am today. And without that background, without that training and that knowledge, I wouldn't be where I am today. As far as do I miss it, I kind of do, but when you're a pro wrestler and I did it for 11 and a half years, and I wake up in the morning and if something isn't hurting, I'm going to be dead. So, you definitely pay a price and you pay a toll for what you do. So I'm glad I got the opportunity to transition out of it. But as far as missing it and wanting to get back in the ring, the only thing that you really miss is the 50,000 people yelling and screaming your name and going crazy. But pro wrestling mainly is 23 hours and however minutes of total boredom trying to figure out where you got to go for your next gig,
Now, Renae, how did you feel about him as a pro wrestler? I mean, if he was still a pro wrestler today.
She was still in diapers when I was a pro wrestler, so,
yeah. I actually, if I saw Tyler wrestle, that was I was probably in high school or college. By the time I met Tyler, he was already done with X-Men. And we met because he was supporting X-Men at the Chicago convention, the comic book convention, and I was there with Top Cow, and he was there supporting X-Men. And that was how we met. So I didn't know that he was a wrestler.
I still go back and look at videos, and I'm like, damn, who knew all these years later we'd be looking at Sabretooth and Michael Myers, It's, I think it's great. I made the joke to you in Greensboro, and I'll do it here on the air. Pro wrestler, film movie star. We've had Hulk Hogan do it. The big guy these days is The Rock. Now, The Rock might rule the ring, but if it came down to it on film, one-on-one, who wins, The Rock or Tyler Mane?
It depends on who's playing the good guy and who's playing the bad guy.
Now, and
yeah,
because
just like wrestling, the movies are rigged too, my man.
Well, now,
and
that's
Tyler,
an interesting
Tyler
point.
Tyler always joked about compound fracture, and he said, I usually kick butt all the way through the movie, and now I'm getting the crap beat out of me all the way through compound fracture. And I said, well, honey, that's what you get when you play a good guy, is that you get beat all the way through the movie, and then you win at the end. So you have to pick.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you, Tyler. If you look at a lot of your other roles, how much different was it for you to play the good guy in Compound Fracture? How did that change the mentality?
Well, first of all, I got to live through a film, which is a good thing. But no, it's you have to adjust a little bit, but it was the ability to play the good guy and come through in the end was a fantastic opportunity, and that's another reason why I started my production company too, so that I could get these different experiences, in my career.
But at the end of the day, as an actor, I don't think playing a villain or a protagonist or an antagonist is really different, because no villain thinks he's a villain. So it really is just kind of what happens through the script that's different.
Right.
Well,
it's just about going. It's just about going and doing the best that you can and having fun doing what you're doing and bringing a character to life, whether he be a good guy, a bad guy, or a misunderstood guy.
But I think the rule that Tyler has learned is don't let your wife write the script, or you will get slammed on cars and through tables and into walls.
God, you ain't kidding.
And that's kind of where the idea for that question came from is, and I'm not, because I know, Tyler, I asked you this in Greensboro, and you've heard it a million times, so it's not really a Michael versus Jason question, but you've always been the character that dealt the punishment. How much psychologically and as an actor, how much different was it to be the guy on the receiving end? And it's going to come up just because it comes up. You got in physicality with Derek Mears, who was Jason. You were Michael Myers. It's when you have that mentality of being the force of nature, of being the overwhelming tide, what is it like being on the other side of that?
It's something that I'm used to. Like with the wrestling, you play the good guy, you play the bad guy. It doesn't really matter. You want to do the best that you can and put the best performance and make it look as realistic as possible. So that's the way I look at it. Whatever I'm doing, it's just as long as what I'm doing makes sense for that scene, So it's just basically when you're doing a scene like that, you're living out the scene, you're making that scene come to life, to live and breathe and become something. And that's the way I look at it. It's not whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy. It's what is needed to make that scene what it needs to be.
And also, Derek Mears and Tyler are both so well-versed in doing action, and Tyler with wrestling and the films that he's done, and Derek has they're always playing these very physical roles. But the key is, for example, I got to do stunts for the first time on this film, my own stunts, and one of the scenes I get thrown across the garage and slam into the wall and land on the ground. But when you're filming it, that's not what happens. You're filming it in several different takes so that you can make it look like that's what happened. But when you're working with somebody like Derek, who picks you up like you're a feather and just sort of lightly sets you here and there, it's up to you to act like it hurts, or act, and Derek really makes you have to act, because it's like he's dancing with you. He just picks you up and sets you down. He's great.
Yeah, and the funny thing is if anyone follows him on Facebook, some of his Facebook messages definitely seem to go against the type of characters that he plays. I mean,
he's hilarious.
If there was to be a modern-day Three Stooges from the stories you guys told me, it would be Derek, Tyler, and Todd from everything that you guys have said. So,
what people are often surprised about, Derek does improv. Derek is a comedian. He is a funny mother trucker. And I just recently went to go see his troupe perform here in L.A., and they're called The Resistance, and they're an improv group, long-form improv, but they're action-based. And because it was October, they were doing horror movies. And so the audience got to choose what type of horror movie, and the day I was there, I think it was the apocalyptic film. And they just improv. They just make these characters up. He's hilarious, but he looks really scary, so he's got both sides to him.
Well, now, let me ask you guys this, because we have about 15 minutes left. So let me get to the other little questions here. Now, you guys both worked with Rob Zombie, and you brought his name up. Of course, with it being a remake of John Carpenter's Halloween and everything, how much? Of course, it's a larger budget film, but being characters in his film and seeing how he did things, how well did that translate over for you guys when you did Compound Fracture? What did you guys learn from being on his set and then taking it to yours?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing is to have fun and make a good movie and be very to collaborate with everyone, and Rob is very good at doing that, and because he's a performer himself. And the experiences from my Halloweens with Rob were all very, very positive, and I wanted to take that and have that same kind of philosophy through my own company also, and that's what we did.
Renae, how about on your end? What did you observe being on set that you took with you to Compound Fracture?
Well, I just love the fact that on Rob's sets, Rob is he's so very relaxed. He's very focused. He doesn't get caught up in the I'm a director sort of thing, and he really trusts the actors to bring to the scene something special. And in fact, most times he won't call cut when the scene is over. He just keeps letting it roll out, and the actors just have fun, and some of those things end up in the film. And it's that we're making movies. We're not doing brain surgery. Yes, it's important. Yes, we need to focus. Yes, this is what I am doing right now. And in terms of Rob, he is a workaholic. He will go home and he'll go home at 3 a.m, and then he'll write. He'll adjust some stuff in the script, for 3 more hours, and then he'll get a couple hours of sleep, and then he'll come to set, and he's just so focused and so professional, but without any of the sort of drama that you could get from someone like that, And I mean, he's freaking Rob Zombie, so if anybody was going to be able to bring the drama, he would be able to own it. He deserves it, but he doesn't. He's just the coolest guy on set, and so I think that attitude and that sort of atmosphere is what we tried to bring to our set.
Now let me ask you this, because Tyler, you were also a part of the Devil's Rejects. You played Rufus. I found Rob Zombie stuff to be very refreshing. I like the tone that he takes with his work. Since you guys got to work with him and, you deal with the media and everything else, do you feel like, coming from his music background and his general love of horror before he started directing, do you feel like some of the media and the fans were a little too unfair when it came to his films and the criticism that a lot of them got?
Yeah, I mean, that's not for me to judge. He set out to make the Halloween a new taking on it, new outlook on it, and he did, and he told a great backstory to it, and I think the film's turned out amazing. That's that's.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think it's, that's what people had to realize. It was a re-imaging of the series, and I think that all of you, everyone that was involved, really brought something new to it. So, I'm definitely not in the haters.
I'm from the world of theater where everything gets remade a gazillion times, and every time it gets remade, it gets treated as something completely different and total respect. So it always surprises me in the world of film that people get so snobby about remakes. I don't understand. It's a new creative team. It's a completely new thing, different look. If you love it, love it.
And the thing is that the other ones are still there. You can go watch them. It's I think with the internet and everything and that, everybody just figures that they should voice their opinions and stuff like that. So I don't know. It is what it is.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, like I said, we're getting down to the last 10 minutes here, so I wanted to ask Renae, one of the credits. Now, this is on IMDb, and we all know sometimes how unreliable IMDb can be. But I wanted to ask you, it shows that you are in pre-production on a film, I'm guessing, called Race to Judgment. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
That is a film that is scheduled to be shot in Michigan. It's been pushed back a couple times, so I don't know exactly when it's going to be shot. But I've talked to them, and that's on the docket.
Is it horror genre, or what are we looking at?
No, it's more of a drama. It's a drama.
Okay. Well, then I have to ask Tyler about one of the other ones on his resume. And I never got a chance to ask you in Greensboro. I think fans would like this. Can you tell us how you got involved in the filming of Joe Dirt?
Yeah, I mean, my agents just called and said, "Hey, do you want to go audition for this role? It's a small role," and I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." Went down, auditioned, and ended up being Bondi or whatever it was in Joe Dirt.
Oh man, I couldn't believe that when because I've seen just about everything that you had been in, and I didn't catch at first that you were in Joe Dirt, and when I looked it up, I was like, this is too cool. Here we go. We have Sabretooth, we have Michael Myers, and he was in Joe Dirt.
Well, yeah, and I'm the guy that dies pissing on a fire. Whatever.
It's funny because when we're at conventions, people, somebody will say he was in Joe Dirt, and people are always like, I've seen that movie a million times. What was he? And then when you say he was the oil rig guy with the apple and the fart, and then you can just see people's eyes get really big and look at him, and they always say, oh, my gosh, that was him. Yes, it was.
All right, now I have to ask this one, Tyler. You, of course, you were Sabretooth in X-Men. You were Michael Myers in Halloween. Both films, both genres have huge followings. Do you feel like you get followed? Do you feel like people follow you more for Sabretooth, the comic crowd, or do you feel like more people follow you from the horror crowd as Michael Myers?
I think it's kind of both. It's you have two different kind of fan bases, and some of the fans cross over to both genres. So, I mean, that's hard to say. But probably more the horror for the Michael Myers, since, I did do the two and the Devil's Rejects, and now I have my own company going. So I'd probably have to say horror.
Now, with all the rumors going on, of course, 3D is a big thing these days, and you keep hearing rumors that there will be a Halloween 3. One of the rumors that goes along with that is Rob Zombie will not be the one directing it. If there was to be a Halloween 3D, would you reprise your role as Michael Myers if Rob was not directing?
It'd have to. I mean, like anytime I take on any role, I read the script first. If the script is good, and they're going to do something really good with the script, then I'll consider it. Then it depends on who is directing and all of that. So that's where that sits. I'm
right.
Pretty sure they're going to do a Halloween 3, whether it be 3D, whether it not be 3D, I don't know. But if the script is right and the offer's right, then I would definitely. I don't know what I'd do for 3, because I mean, like when I talked to Rob for the first one, I said, we both agreed that we needed it to be intense, and And then when we did the second one, I said, well, I want to kick it up a notch and not just have it the same, because I didn't want to play the characters the same. So I made it way more aggressive. And so if I did a third one, I mean, I don't know what I'd have to do. Probably rip somebody's head off and you know, go totally crazy, which could look good in 3D. You never know. Who knows?
I would agree to that. Well, again, you know, I think Compound Fracture is a great film. I've told everyone that I can tell that if they have not seen this movie, they need to go out and see it on the tour. Are you guys still touring? And you know, how much? If you are, how much longer are you planning to? Where are you guys going to be in the coming months?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the process of trying to work out a screening in December for Jersey, but we're trying to line up a couple of more cities before the tour winds down. It's just we've been so busy with the Penance Lane campaign and all of this, but I'm hoping to do a few more cities. So just stay tuned. It's compoundfracturethemovie.com. Look for dates on there, and also follow us on Main Entertain. If we do pick up some more dates, they will be posted on there.
Excellent.
That's
and the last
Facebook. question
I'll ask, and Facebook, that's right. You guys should, everyone listening, you should really go and check out this film. I mean, if you're tired of the paranormal activity type of ghosts and paranormal stuff, Compound Fracture to me is everything that a ghost movie should be. And I'm not saying that because Tyler and Renae are sitting here with me. I mean, it really is a film that after you watch it, you're in awe of what you've seen. And, you know, I hope that when the DVD comes out, it sells well. I hope that people flock to it. But the last question I'll ask you guys is you know, you guys work together, you've done Compound Fracture, you have the next film coming up. Is there a dream project, and it doesn't have to be horror, but is there a dream project that the two of you would want to work on, and what would it be?
Well, we have about 6 or 7 other projects that we have in various different stages, and one of them being my dream project, which is a period piece that I've been working on for, probably 15 years now. I've been planning for it. So, yeah, I mean, they're definitely there. We both have different ideas of our dream project, but eventually, and that's a good thing about working together. We can eventually, you know, get to both of our dream projects and do them.
I just want to be in a Western. I want to ride horses and shoot guns. That's what I want.
You know, I tried that. Riding the horse was the overrated part, let me tell you.
No way. I'm a cowgirl at heart.
Well, then I give you credit because, you know, I'm not afraid of very many animals, but once you're up on a horse and you're riding it and you realize ultimately that no matter what you do, the horse is going to do what he wants to do, it wasn't any fun for me. Well, again, I want to say thank you guys for coming on. Compound Fracture is an excellent movie. I can't wait to see the next film. You guys know anytime you have any news whatsoever, please send it along to me. You know it'll go up on Horror Society. You know it'll get promoted. So, again, thank you for everything that you guys have done. Thank you for coming on the show. And we wish you the best of luck in everything that you guys are doing. So you guys gave your website addresses. Is there anything else you would like to say to your fans before we end the interview?
Yeah, just thanks for following us and watching our films, and please check out our Penance Lane Indiegogo campaign.
And hopefully we will be in a town near you very soon.
Thank you. And once again, everyone, that was Tyler Main and Renae Geerlings from Compound Fracture. And again, really an excellent, excellent episode. Two great people, two great filmmakers with everything that they do. And I promised Tyler before the interview that I would mention the Indiegogo again, and I'm going to do that right now. If you go to the Indiegogo page, and the address is www.indiegogo.com/projects/penance-lane, you can go and contribute to this film. And I know I spoke a lot about how great I thought Compound Fracture was, and I think Penance Lane is going to be the same thing. You know, having the opportunity to sit down and talk to these people, behind the scenes, off the set, you can really see that they have a passion. This is not, let's throw something together and make a movie. And as Tyler had mentioned, there are many, many great perks for donating. Autographed production stills of Tyler dressed up as Michael Myers, as Sabretooth, as King Ajax from Troy. You can get limited edition lithographs, a prop knife autographed by Tyler, the Michael Myers mask, the boots, the jumpsuit. You can even get one where they will fly you out to set, and you can follow around a cast or crew member of your choice for the day. You can fly out and get, of course this one's already been given out. You can get killed by Tyler in the movie. There's even a chance for you to get an associate producer's credit on this film. So if you really are a fan of independent film, you love Tyler's work, Renae's work, and everything that they do, definitely go check out the Penance Lane Indiegogo. Once again, the web address on that is www.indiegogo.com/projects/penance-lane. You can also find Tyler and Renae and Main Entertainment on Facebook and Twitter. And just check them out. If you're into independent film, these are the kinds of people that you want to back. So thank you again to Tyler and Renae. I appreciate having you on, and I look forward to talking to you guys here very shortly in the future. Moving on, we have our next Metal Blade Spotlight song. Once again, the band is Pentagram Chile, the album is The Malefice, and the song is Prophetic Tremors.
Fractured, crushed, hell of
And once again, that was Pentagram Chile. The name of the album was The Malefice. The song was Prophetic Tremors. Good stuff, good stuff. Well, as part of being in the Metal Blade spotlight, I'm going to give you my review of the CD. Metal of any kind is a labor of love and hate. And after several demos and live shows, Pentagram Chile, which formed in 1985, finally has released its first studio album. In 2011, the band decided to officially change their name to Pentagram Chile in order to avoid confusion with the much longer-running U.S. doom rock band fronted by Bobby Liebling, but that is where the comparisons end. While there are elements of doom, speed, and thrash in the album, at its heart, this is a classic death metal album. Anton Reisenegger, he's a lead guitarist and vocalist, Juan Pablo Donoso on drums, and Juan Pablo Uribe on lead guitar, blast through us aggressively with tracks like Spontaneous Combustion, which was last week's song, Sarcophobia, Arachnoids, and Grand Design, while other tracks like Death of Satan, Prophetic Tremors, and La Fiora show off more of a grinding and technically proficient side of the band. It holds up well against the screaming and drum machine metal that seems to be the norm today. Pentagram Chile takes us back to the early days of metal when bands like Obituary, Sepultura, Vader, and Morbid Angel represented the scene. Almost 30 years after forming, Pentagram Chile shows us that the old man on the block still has tricks up his sleeve, and I think the best and darkest days are yet to come from these guys. If you get the chance, definitely pick this album up. You can pick it up on iTunes and, of course, through Metal Blade. Go to metalblade.com and order it on there. There's also a 2-disc digipack set that has a modern-day recordings of some of their older work, which was released on demo CDs and played at a lot of live events. So, once again, I want to say thank you to Metal Blade Records for letting us listen to Pentagram Chile's The Malefice here on Horror Society Radio. And don't forget that when we close out the show at the end of the evening, we will have one more artist in the spotlight. So, I hope you've enjoyed that to this point. And as for our DVD review for the evening, we want to say thank you to our friends at Scream Factory for sending us a Blu-ray copy of The Horror Show, a.k.a. House 3, starring Lance Hendrickson. It was produced by Sean Cunningham and directed by James Isaac. It will be out for the general populace November 26th, 2013. 116 people are dead at the hands of Max Jenk, Brian James of Blade Runner and Crime Wave, and his trusty meat cleaver. Now, justice is about to be served as Jenke is sentenced to the electric chair. But from the first high-voltage blast, it becomes clear that Max is no ordinary serial killer. With a blood-chilling laugh from the depths of hell, Max enters our world transformed into a supernatural force by the high-voltage blast of electricity. Max vows revenge on the cop who captured him. Well aware of the maniacal killer's passion to destroy, Detective Lucas McCarthy, Lance Hendrickson of Pumpkinhead and Aliens, can only begin to imagine the horror that awaits him and his family. You know, the Blu-ray's 1080p high-definition widescreen, 1.78.1, DTS HD Master Audio Stereo. The DVD copy of it is anamorphic widescreen, 1.781, Dolby Digital Stereo. Absolutely an entertaining movie. Now, a lot of people might draw comparisons to this film to Wes Craven's Shocker, which came out a few months later. But believe it or not, The Horror Show was the first film. When it was released as House 3 in some territories. You can kind of draw parallels to the House series, I guess. I mean, you know, Jenke pretty much occupies the house. So, I mean, I can see where you can go with that. In comparison to Shocker, I think they're both good films. They both offer They both offer things that a lot of the other genre stuff didn't. You can argue the semantics of whether or not Shocker was a direct ripoff, or if Cunningham just got his movie out quicker. Again, those are all arguing points. I would say that both certainly belong in your collection. So if you have not picked this up, it is certainly worth it. My favorite feature on there was the behind-the-scenes interview with Kane Hodder, where he certainly talks about James Isaac and being on the film and, his stunt work and the things that he did. As far as, as Kane's work, it's Kane Hodder. I mean, that certainly brings a lot to it. It would have been interesting maybe if Kane had been cast in that role, but I mean, I certainly understand having Brian James in the role, and Kane speaks very fondly of him as well, considering that sadly Brian is no longer with us. But, it should go without saying, and I think I've said this every week I've done a DVD review from, Scream Factory. Once again, absolutely quality product. A little bit offbeat. A lot of genre fans, or a lot of the younger genre fans, may not know anything about this title or even heard of this title. But I certainly feel that once again, it's a good film to look at. I mean, Lance Hendrickson, I've always enjoyed everything that Lance Hendrickson's been in. And I really think, the film showcased his talents, and you can see flashes, in later stuff. You can almost feel like his character from this film is Frank from Millennium, the TV show he did on Fox that spun off of the X-Files all those years ago. And while not the same character, I mean, you can see it with the quirky characters that Hendrickson has played over the years, to be certain. There was also a really nice interview segment with Rita Taggart on there as well, and she talks about playing with, against Lance in the film and things like that. But certainly, once again, with it being Christmas time, the horror completists in your family, the ones in your life that you love, would certainly love this. Well worth the money, well worth a viewing. And if you're a House fan, you can finally have House 3 on Blu-ray and DVD. So it's a nice completion piece. So I definitely give it a high rating. Run out, get it at your local retailers when it comes out again on November 26th of this year. You can also pre-order your copy directly from Scream and Shout Factory, and make sure to check them out on Facebook and Twitter as well. Once again, for our DVD giveaway, I'm going to play a song. If you can tell me what movie the song came from and what the significance of the song is, I have a Blu-ray copy of Chilling Visions to give away and a DVD copy of Day of the Dead, George Romero's Day of the Dead, both from Scream Factory. All you have to do is send your answers to me on the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Facebook. So the first person that can tell me the song and what its significance is wins the prize pack. And here is the song. once again, if you go to the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Facebook and tell me the name of that song, the first person to tell me the name of that song and what the significance is, will win a Blu-ray copy of Chilling Visions and a DVD copy of George Romero's Day of the Dead from Scream Factory. Well, once again, speaking of Scream Factory, we would like to say thank you for sending us a copy of the Blu-ray edition and DVD edition of The Horror Show, a.k.a. House 3. Please look for our review up on HorrorSociety.com. Would also like to say thank you to Elsie Macabre coming on once again to tell us about the Macabre Fair Film Festival coming up in January in New York. More details will be available on that on HorrorSociety.com. You can also check them out on Facebook. Thank you again to Tyler Main and Renae Geerlings of Main Entertainment for coming on and talking to us about Compound Fracture and their upcoming film, Penance Lane. Make sure to check out the Indiegogo for that. And we want to say thank you also to our friends over at Metal Blade Records for allowing us to play a few tracks of Pentagram Chile's The Malefice. And to close the show out, we will have our next Spotlight band. Next week, we are going to hear a little bit more from a band called Demonical. So, to close the show out this evening, off of their album Darkness Unbound, we are going to hear the song Death Crown. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, rest